So most people know better than to pick a fight with a professional cage fighter. But thankfully for us, every once in a while, someone doesn't. Today we're breaking down top 5 real moments when normal people fought UFC fighters. I'm talking in their own homes, at bars, and even on the street in the most dangerous places in the world. And of course, they ultimately paid the price. And trust me, it doesn't always end how they expected. Because that's exactly what happened at 4 a.m. in the morning in Nebraska. UFC veteran Anthony Smith is asleep with his wife and kids when something wakes him, screaming. Inside the house, he jumps out of bed and runs into the living room, only to see a man standing in the dark, flexing and shouting like he's looking for a fight. And ultimately for him, that's exactly what he got. Because Smith later described the moment as one of the scariest of his life. And this is a man who's gone 5 rounds with John Jones. But this fight was different. There was no ref, no gloves, no rules. Just chaos and fighting for your life. Smith tackled the guy, landing punches and elbows, trying to end it as fast as possible. But the man kept fighting. He was young, strong, and as Smith put it, just wouldn't stop. It turns out the guy was a former high school wrestler who had broken into the wrong house. Smith said, "I hit him with everything, and he took it all. Elbows, knees, everything."
I'm realizing that he's young. He's probably in his, his early 20s. Turns out he's 22 or 23. He's not very big. He's like 165 or 170 pounds, but he's super strong. I just was having a really hard time controlling him, trying to get a hold of his hands. And
the house was covered in blood. The intruder was arrested, and Smith, he said it was harder than some of his actual UFC fights. But the same could not be said for Polyana Viana when a mugger picked the wrong woman to rob. Because on a quiet street in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, which is one of the most dangerous places in the entire world, it was getting dark, and UFC strawweight Polyana Viana is waiting for her Uber. She's scrolling on her phone when all of a sudden a stranger sits down beside her and asks, "What time is it?" She answers, and he doesn't leave. When all of a sudden he whispers, "Give me your phone. Don't scream. I'm armed." Now most people would panic, but Polyana Viana is not most people. She looked at him calmly, sized up the situation, and thought, if he's got a gun, he won't have time to use it. We're too close to each other. She stood up, threw 2 punches and a kick, dropped him immediately, and locked in a rear naked choke. The same move she used to win her UFC debut. Then she sat him down like a misbehaving child, held his wrist behind his back, and called the cops. Turns out his gun was actually a folded cardboard cutout of one. The mugger was so scared she'd hit him again that he begged for her to stop. And Dana White even shared the photo of the aftermath with the hashtag bad f***ing idea. And Viana, she filed the police report, went home, and made herself dinner. But the same can't be said for this drunk guy who got knocked out at a bar by a glory kickboxer. So we're in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's a packed bar on a Saturday night. Music's playing, people are dancing, and one guy, a drunk, loud customer, is making everyone uncomfortable. He's rapping at strangers, slurring his words, even bumping into staff and making racial comments to the busboy. Enter Joe Schilling, a professional fighter and former glory kickboxer. As Joe walks past the man, the guy bumps into him. Joe puts a hand out and moves him aside, and just keeps walking. Then he hears it. "Hey." He turns around, the man is flexing on him and almost insinuating that he's about to fight, which is a bad idea. Because Schilling fires off a brutal 2-second combination and the guy crumbles, completely unconscious. And the video went absolutely viral. Some people called it self-defense, others called it excessive. Joe said the man had been harassing staff all night and acting like he wanted to fight. The man, later identified as Justin Balboa, tough last name, said he was attacked for no reason. But witnesses backed Schilling and no charges were ultimately filed. If you're looking for sympathy, maybe don't flex on a world-class fighter in a bar. Or maybe don't approach them when there's a street fight going on, because that's exactly what happened in New Orleans in 2023. because there's a street brawl happening outside of a Misfits boxing event. And in the middle of it, no one else but Nate Diaz himself. And at the time, this is when Nate Diaz was about to fight Jake Paul in a boxing fight. So things were pretty heated at the time with the Paul brothers and the Diaz brothers. So in the middle of this street fight, a man, tall, lean, and looking suspiciously like Logan Paul himself, walks up to Nate Diaz with his hands raised. And Diaz doesn't ask any questions. He grabs him, locks up a guillotine choke, lifts him off the ground, and puts him to sleep in the middle of the street in just a matter of seconds.
Oh yeah, Logan.
It looked like a fight, but it was really over in just seconds. The man later claimed injuries to his head, neck, ribs, even psychological damage. His nickname, of course, not Logan Paul. His MMA record, apparently it's 0-5. Now, technically 0-6. He tried to even sue Diaz, and Diaz's team replied with one word: LOL. Let that be a lesson. Probably don't walk up to a Diaz brother during a street fight, period. Or how about don't interrupt their dinner when you've drinking way too much? Because that's exactly what happened in Las Vegas in 2018. UFC legend Matt Serra is out to dinner with his wife, celebrating his UFC Hall of Fame induction. It's a classy night until a drunk guy in the restaurant starts harassing the waiters and throwing things. Serra tries to ignore it. He even tells his wife, let's just go. But then the guy takes off his shirt, starts screaming, and turns his attention towards Serra himself. I'm gonna fuck you up, he says. Wrong move. Serra takes him down instantly, mounts him, and calmly restrains him while saying, relax bro, you're done. Just relax. He didn't throw a single punch. He just held the guy down, controlled the situation, and handed him off to security when they arrived.
It's okay. Calm down. I'm gonna break you. I'm not attacking nobody.
He didn't throw a single punch. He just held him down, controlled the situation, and handed him off to security when they arrived. And the next day, Matt Serra was inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame with a story most fighters can only dream of. And this, in my opinion, is probably the best example of why you should take jiu-jitsu for self-defense. And remember, the next time you feel like acting tough, just check the ears first so you don't end up on a YouTube video like this.